the difference between a side hustle and passive income is that a side hustle, if you stop hustling, the money stops. So let me give you a perfect example.
I like it. What's going on, Cash Flow Hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and I am here with Brian Page. We just met at the Funnel Hacking Live event, as I'm sure you're seeing in all these videos, meeting a lot of amazing people here. Brian and I met yesterday, and I was told he's got a new book coming out. This book, Don't Start a Side Hustle, which is a fascinating kind of contrarian title to me. I love it, by the way. And so he does a lot of cash flow investing, cash flow coaching, and you've been wildly successful in the real estate space in general, right? Like big background in Airbnb.
Real estate investing, you name it.
Other real estate investing, all that stuff, right? And so can you tell me, like, before we get into like the what, can you tell me like why, what inspired, why did you do this book?
Okay, so the book, you know, it was kind of written for two different people. I've got a lot of friends in the entrepreneurial world. I got a lot of friends that are 9-to-5ers. And they're all complaining about their life. So the 9-to-5 people, they're like, I gotta fire the boss. I cannot do this job anymore. I'm tired of it. I want freedom. And they look at entrepreneurs and they're like, man, I wish I could just be my own boss. I wish I could, you know, be a boss babe. I wish I could call my own shots. But they don't realize that the average entrepreneur in America makes about $72,000 a year, and they work 80 to 90 hours a week, and they have no time freedom. They're, you know, and they're burned out. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they realize it's not what they thought it was when they signed up to be an entrepreneur. And so they're all looking for something more. And so what I want to teach people to do is to become passivepreneurs. And that's what I talk about in this book. It's all about creating passive income rather than hustling so hard and working your ass off all the time.
That's awesome. So you go through this book and there's a list of different passive
vehicles,
vehicles, right? How did you come up with that list? Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ways to do this. I started, I mean, from the time I was very young, I got involved in real estate investing because I knew that was a great way to create cash flow. It's kind of the most commonly known way to do it. And then I moved from there into all other alternative kinds of ways of creating hands-off, you know, passive income. And then I started, you know, focusing on lifestyle and having more time and that kind of thing. And as I started doing that, I started attracting people like myself. I started finding this whole kind of underground group of people who were money rich and time rich, and they were doing things I had never even heard of. You and I were just discussing some ways of making passive income that I personally don't do myself. But there are so many ways to do it now, and people, I think, in their mind think it's not a real thing, that's scammy, there's no such thing as passive income. Actually, Gary Vee said that very thing in a video. He said there's no such thing as passive income, and I cannot disagree more. I cannot disagree more with that. That's absurd. That makes no sense to me. And so I think that I want to kind of guide people along the path so they can, you know, have more life, have more a more fulfilling and rich life, and not spend their entire life working. And I think most people don't have that. And so so that's kind of what I'm all about.
That's amazing. So my company is Life 180. And the Life 180 is an acronym, Living Intentionally for Excellence, right? And so, you know, you got to start with the end in mind. You got to figure out where you want to go, reverse engineer a plan to get there, all that stuff. But I run into people a lot of times because I love investing for cash flow. I love the concept of passive income. I mean, I wrote my book, Cash Flow Hacking, on this, and like, you know, so it's awesome how much synergy there is between your message and what we do.
Absolutely.
What do you do when you run into somebody that, you know, is in a different stage of the journey and you know, they go, well, what do you mean don't start a side hustle? I have no money to invest passively. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question. So, you know, one of my most influential books in my life has been Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It absolutely changed my life, changed a lot of lives. I love Robert Kiyosaki. And one of the things he teaches, the core concept he teaches, is that the rich invest into income-producing assets. They buy assets, and the middle class and the poor do not. And I agree with that, but times have changed since that book came out. You no longer have to buy assets. In fact, you can create assets out of nothing from scratch. We're in a creator economy now. And you can also control assets that you don't own. You can control other people's properties. You can control other people's money. You can control resources that you don't own legally and ethically in order to hack those things for your own cash flow. And so you don't have to own assets anymore. You don't have to go into debt. You don't have, you know, I'm a very debt-averse guy. I went through the real estate crash of 08, and it all happened because I was unreasonable with debt, and so I learned how to become a creator. I you know, learned how to create products and digital courses and coaching online that all operate to this day without any intervention from me, and then also how to use these assets that other people own in a way that benefits them, benefits me. So that's kind of the whole idea behind this book, is taking a little bit of a jumping off point of, yes, you need assets in your life, but you don't have to have money to go buy assets. You don't have to have credit to go borrow a bunch of money. You can literally start with an internet connection and a couple $100s and launch something that has the potential to make millions. That's amazing. And we're proof, because we're sitting at a conference with 5,000 people.
So true.
Hundreds of people going across the stage yesterday and making millions of dollars. It's amazing.
It's really epic. So I got to ask you this. I should have started with this.
Let's do it.
How would you define a side hustle?
Okay.
Like, I just looked down and I'm like, it just hit me.
What is
like,
a side hustle?
I need to know, like, what is your mindset around what is a side hustle?
That's a great question. So a lot of people look at me and they know me as the Airbnb guy. We have the world's largest Airbnb training,
Awesome.
and it is kind of technically a side hustle. But the difference between a side hustle and passive income is that a side hustle, if you stop hustling, the money stops. So let me give you a perfect example.
I like it.
The perfect example of a side hustle is Uber. So
yeah.
I had a guy pick me up at 4:30 to take me to the airport to fly to Orlando.
Yeah.
4:30 in the morning, this poor schmuck is driving up to my house out front waiting for me. And I asked him, how much are you going to drive today? He said, 10 hours, 12 hours. I said, good Lord, that's
a grind.
You have your car in the garage, the income stops, okay? That's a hustle. And nowadays it's kind of, you can be proud of how much you hustle and how hard you work and all that kind of thing. But to me, that's not a good idea, because you can instead have a passive income vehicle, which is anything that earns money that either requires less and less of your time or none of your time. Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't take time to set up.
Right.
So for
there's going to be energy.
There's going to be energy and time invested, especially if you're not buying an asset.
Yeah.
The amount of energy to buy an apartment building is very low, because you're going to write a check and then you're going to have a management company and you're going to sit back and collect cash.
Right.
But to create, let's say, an online course and sell it through a webinar, it's an enormous amount of effort. But I did that 5 years ago. Still to this day, millions of dollars being made, and I still have the same presentation, it's the same thing I did one time. And so for every additional sale, my money per hour goes up and up and up. It's an exponential return on time. So the difference is that side hustles are not exponential, they're linear income. So the only way to make more is you work harder, you work longer, or you work better to get a promotion, for example. A job would be a perfect example, but a passive income vehicle can be it can be exponential income with almost no time involvement.
Man, I'm glad I did this interview. I literally just got a new definition for side hustle for myself.
There you go.
So it's funny you say that. Like my YouTube channel, that probably people are watching this on.
Yep.
It's passive income.
It's absolutely. It's one of the ones I list in the book.
I have videos. One of my top videos every single month is a video I filmed in 2016, and it's still earning. It's not earning me a ton.
But
because
it's still,
it fades off.
If you stop today, it continues to pay.
It will.
Yeah.
And it's every month, and every time I do a video, and I do a lot of them.
Yep. And that's an example. You have an asset. It's a digital asset. It costs you very little to anything to create. It creates income that's independent of you. And the idea here is not to just find one thing and hope that it's going to work, is that you want to launch a whole bunch of different vehicles. Totally. The more that you launch, the more likely you'll have one that goes to the moon, one that's kind of an outlier.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. And then you start becoming time rich, okay? And that's the thing I talk about in the book, is that there's a lot of very wealthy people that are time bankrupt. They have no time, which means they have no health. They don't take care of their relationships.
They're rich, they're not wealthy.
They're not, exactly.
Right?
They're rich in dollars only. And I would argue that there's a new definition of wealth, and that is passive income plus free time plus choice. So you have the ability to call the shots, you have the money to enjoy the lifestyle you want, and you have all the time in the world to enjoy the money that you made. And that's very, very few people. And that's a different kind of lifestyle. And that's what I'm preaching here in this book.
That's awesome. So out of all, the book itself, you actually talk about, and how many pages is this? I gotta look
a couple hundred pages.
It's a good book. It's a couple hundred pages. The topics that you write about in here are things that you've done personally. You have a list of different types of passive income.
Yeah, so I take people on the journey from me being a real estate investor to creating online courses and products to now investing in multifamily properties and all different kinds of asset classes. So there's many. I've done I have a couple different dozen sources of passive income, but there's dozens and dozens more. YouTube is one of them. I don't personally have a lot of income on YouTube, but there are so many different ways to do it. And in the book, I go through my journey. I talk about myself and other people that have done this. And then I give them resources. So there's an ongoing list of passive income vehicles that I track and my friends are due, and we give people access to that list, which is constantly updated. So when you get the book, you'll automatically get access to all those different vehicles, so that you can find one or many that work for you if you've never done anything.
So you're building a network of people.
Yeah, it's a network, exactly.
Right? I mean, you're building, and I cannot overstate the importance of this. Like, he's taken his life experience and the massive success and the massive network he's built. He's put it into a book so you can understand it.
Yeah.
He's built a list of different ideas, because one of the things I realized with the infinite banking stuff that I do, infinite banking is not an investment. It's a storage vehicle so you can go and invest better, right?
Yes.
Like, so you can go and get in passive income, do all these different things, right? And so, you need to, the thing that I learned in dealing with people doing infinite banking is sometimes they lack creativity, they lack vision, they don't have the clarity, and that's what holds people back from doing infinite banking typically, is because if you don't see what's on the other side of it, it's harder to walk through that door.
Well, I talk about this in the book. So there's 3 types of passivepreneurs. There's the owners, the creators, and the controllers. So some people, they have money and they can write a big check. You need to be an owner. Just go buy businesses that are automated, buy real estate, buy automated businesses. We talked about this, car washes, and anything that's automated. But then if you're a creative person, you're willing to put in the hard work for a short amount of time, then you could become a creator. And if you like, you have the ability to work with people and to pitch them on the idea of working with you, then being a controller is a great way to go. But you don't have to do just one. You can do multiple different things. And get sources from all over the place.
I think most of us that are at this level kind of do multiple things. Like,
I think we all do
I don't think anybody really just does.
I mean, at a certain point, you're like, oh wow, that was fun. Now,
Eventually.
what can I do next? Yeah.
Sure.
So that's the idea, but the definition would be, if you have a true passive income vehicle, you go away from it for months, you come back and it's still doing the same, or hopefully increasing in profitability while you're gone. Then that's a great vehicle to have, and that's kind of what I want to.
Well, and the thing I like about most of the things, and I looked through the list, I'm not going to read it right now. But the thing I liked about a lot of them is that in this inflationary world that we're in, most of them are good hedges against inflation at the same time.
Yes.
Right? Like, so that's important, because if you're just putting your money in a traditional mutual fund investment or whatever, inflation is hurting you, because you need, if inflation is 8.5%, you need 8.5% just to break even.
Oh yeah.
From a purchasing power perspective.
Absolutely.
And let's face it, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how much money you have, it matters what that money buys you.
Very important. And it's all about cash flow, because I love crypto. I hold crypto. There's ways to make passive income with crypto that I talk about in the book. But a lot of times people will brag about how much money they made in the market or they made in crypto, but there's no making money until you sell and you realize a profit. It's just numbers. It's all just funny money. So I'm talking about cash flow. That's spendable money in the bank that you can spend today to live the lifestyle that you want to live, to pay your bills, whatever. It's about actual cash flow. And so there's nothing wrong with investing for wealth, investing long term, and all those kind of things. I have precious metals. I'm invested in a lot of different kinds of things. But this is a book about cash flow. This is a book that will, because the average person needs more income in their life to be able to quit the job, to be able to stop working the 80 hours a week on their business, or to maybe go into something that's not so time intensive. So for anybody who loves what they're doing, this is not the book for them, but I think most people are looking for something else.
I think most people, even if you love doing what you're doing, you're kind of in a place right now where you feel like you need something to assist, right? Even, I don't know very many people that are feeling extremely comfortable that are average, right? Like the average person.
That's true.
There are
also highly successful people. I have friends that are just immensely wealthy people, and one of them, I had a conversation with a guy, and I said, "Hey, when was the last time that you had fun?" And, went on a fun trip, and he looked at me like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I travel all the time, man. He's got a jet, and he's all over the world." I was like, no, I mean, just had fun. Just did something where you're not trying to work an angle or do a business deal or whatever. Just play. When's the last time you played? And he didn't compute, because he's so busy.
He's like, I don't know.
He's so busy hustling all the time, and he hasn't stopped to enjoy his life a little bit. And I think we forget that life is very short. Time is infinitely valuable. Money is not a limited resource. It really isn't. It's unlimited. But it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, we all have the same number of hours in the day, and we don't want to get to the end of our life and think, wow, what did I do with my life?
Do you know Richie Norton?
No.
No, I'll have to introduce you to him.
Yeah.
He just wrote a book that just came out. It's called Anti-Time Management.
Okay, wow,
And
love it.
And you guys, like, you'll hit it off. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds
and I
like my
actually
kind
just
of-
interviewed him on the channel as well.
Sounds like my kind of thing.
Yeah, you're gonna love him, and I
That's
think
great.
he's got some things that fit right in alignment with all this as well. So,
Yeah.
so if you're an average person,
Yeah.
like, let's go down that rabbit hole a little bit.
Let's talk about average, because
Yeah, like,
I mentioned
what does that
earlier.
mean?
Well, I mentioned earlier the average entrepreneur. We did the research is $72,000 a year.
Okay.
So the average entrepreneur is not exactly getting rich.
Yeah.
That's more than the average 9 to 5er, but they're probably working double the hours, or maybe they're working 20, 30 hours more. So they're probably making the same per hour than a 9 to 5er.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing with average, the reason that it's not that people aren't smart enough, it's not that they're not educated enough, it's not that they aren't doing the right things, it's that they're in the wrong vehicle. So I talk about the fact that in the book, you know, if you're going to go from New York to LA, you could walk. There are people who have done it. There's people that have jogged across the country. You could get in a car and you could drive. And some people would say, well, why didn't you just fly? Of course, you could also fly across the country, but then there's suborbital flight. You know, Virgin and Musk and all these companies are working on the vehicles that will essentially fly into lower orbit, go around. You could go from LA to New York in 30 minutes.
Seriously?
Yeah, this is a thing. It'll be a thing. Yeah, you could literally, you wouldn't need a lavatory on board, because by the time you got up there and got comfortable, couldn't drink your drink
before you get on the plane.
and then you land. Take more time to go through security. So that's in the future.
crazy.
So there's always a faster vehicle, and so I think that people they're in a job, they're driving across the country. It takes 40 hours to go across the country. That's kind of equivalent to 40 years. 40 years from now, I'm going to retire and I'll have enough money to go live the life I want to live and retire. And we all think that we're in the right vehicle, but there's much better vehicles we could be in. So you want to be in a vehicle that has the power to go exponential. And so the thing with exponential growth is it looks like nothing's happening until suddenly overnight,
Hockey stick.
the amount of money that you make proportionate to how much time you spend it's just exponentially off the charts. But those things are things that most people aren't taught how to do.
That is
true. So I talk about that. And I talk about how it's better to invest your time than to spend it. It's better to invest your time than it is to trade it. So if you have a job, you're trading your time for money. If you have a business, you're spending your money in your business. You're spending your time in your business. But investing time is completely different. It's the ability to say, I'm willing to work really, really hard for the next year for the potential to make millions and millions of dollars passively. Yep. But you can't do that if you're not in the right vehicle.
And that's just entering it with a specific intent of what the objective is.
What's the objective?
Right.
Because it's like most people's objective is I want more money. That's the objective, and it's so vague. Well, what does more mean? How much is more?
Right.
How do you earn it? Is it you earning it? Is it something else earning it? It's just too vague. You can't say more money, and more money is not a good goal. It's not a good goal. So I got to go to Grant Cardone had an event about a month ago with some influencers, and he had people in the audience, and they were asking him questions, and one guy said, I'm really trying hard next year to grow my business. And Grant said, so what do you want to do? What's the number? And he said, probably more than I'm doing this year. And he just ripped him a new one. He's like, what is more?
Yeah, I can imagine Grant.
And he said, well, 7 figures would be good. He's like, what does figures mean? What is it? Just give me the dollar amount. What's the dollar amount that you're talking about? Let's get specific. How many millions are we talking about? Give me so it's the specificity of it. But I would argue to go even a step further than that, which is not just I want to make this much money, but I want to make this much money with none of my time involvement by year 3. I want to make that completely passively.
So walk me through that.
Let's talk about that.
I love hearing your perspectives on this. Okay. So walk me through an average person that's, let's call it 32 years old.
Okay.
I'm going to build an avatar.
Let's build an avatar. I love that.
So 32-year-old male, married, 2 kids.
Okay.
Feels like they're behind in their planning, and they are.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they have a lot of assets right now, but they want to do whatever it takes.
Don't know where to start. Too many shiny objects. Too many opportunities.
They want to do whatever it takes to have $20,000 a month of passive income. I call it your freedom number, whatever your monthly number is, right?
I call it my walk-away number.
Walk
away from
the
job.
Yeah. Perfect. So what is that walk-away number? What is that freedom number? He's got a number of $20,000 a month at 32. By 36, he wants to be completely good, or by 40, he whatever. What do you think is realistic? Where should somebody like that start?
I think the first threshold is financial independence. Now, financial independence is not the same as being rich or wealthy. Financial independence simply means that you are out of the rat race, as Kiyosaki talks about. You have enough money coming in passively to pay all your bills. Now, the reason that should be the first goal, not an arbitrary number like 20,000, is because what you want to do is you want to free up all your time as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of people that I've coached to make money with Airbnb. One of my coaches was making well over 6 figures a year at his job, but he wanted more in his life, and he also was running a tax business on the side.
Okay.
Side
All
hustle.
right.
So he had those two things. He had a baby. He was just working himself to death.
Yeah.
And then he decided it'd be fun to also try to do Airbnb. So he did that, and he asked me. He said, I want to walk away from this job, should I? And I said, well, that's up to you if you want to do that. I'm not going to tell you yes, because I would tell everybody, yes, quit your job. But I don't want to be responsible for that. But I said to him,
Follow my advice at your own risk, right?
I said, you have a safe, secure job. You're making 6 figures plus a year. You've got health benefits, all that kind of stuff. But if you took that 50 hours a week that you spend now at the job, and you just took half of it to do whatever you want with, and the other half to put in your Airbnb business, how quickly do you think you would exceed your previous income? I never thought about that. I said, yeah, the problem that you have right now is not that you need more money. You don't have enough time. You need energy. You don't have enough energy in the day. You're spent. You don't have any energy to go put into the vehicle that's going to pay you. So he said, you got a good point there. So he put in his notice, quit. Now he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars working a few hours a week, quit his job, sold his tax business, and now he just goes and travels with his family, has an incredible lifestyle.
It's so funny.
And he has a vehicle that is completely automated.
That's amazing. So we talk about opportunity cost in the context of spending money, right? Like you go buy a car, what's the opportunity cost of that, right?
We're always thinking about dollars and cents, but we're not thinking about our time, which is just so limited.
Right.
And our energy. Energy is a very finite resource. Focus, it's been proven that we only have so much focus that we have in a typical day, and it just wanes.
Right.
So if you don't give your best hours of the day to the vehicle, to the thing that's the most valuable in the future, you're just not going to win very fast. So for me, it was Airbnb. So I was making $300,000-$400,000 a year the first year in the business. I had it fully automated. I had all the time in the world. So when I woke up in the morning, my alarm went off, or I didn't even have an alarm, but let's say when I woke up in the morning, I had nothing to do that day. So I sat back and thought, well, what's the next thing I'm going to do? Well, everybody keeps asking me how to do what I'm doing on Airbnb. Maybe I have a product. Maybe maybe I could create a course online that would sell without me automatically with an automated webinar. Came to Funnel Hacking Live 5 years ago. Figured out how to do it.
Love it.
Went home. 6 weeks later, had made $1 million online, and that same product is still selling every single day from 5 years ago. Yeah, and I update the course and I update the training occasionally, but no more time involvement. And then that led into the next thing, and then I wrote a book, and then we sold the book, and now here's another book. And this book is also going to be a passive income vehicle. Every time you buy a book, I make a couple bucks, and then in the book are other ways that I make money, and I blatantly share that with the readers to say, look at all the hidden ways I'm making money with this book that I wrote one time, and that forever this book will be in existence and be generating income for me. So
I love that.
That's the idea. I put my effort into projects like this that I know have long-term potential.
So people don't, that's amazing. People don't think about the opportunity cost on their time.
No, they never do.
The opportunity cost of the life.
I would rather you waste money and be stingy with your time.
Yep.
And that's the thing. The more wealthy people that I associate with and hang out with, the more I realize how they are so not concerned with the price of things. They're concerned with the time price of things.
I love it.
So I don't care so much what something costs. I care what it costs me and my time. How much time is it going to take me away from the life that I want, the family that I want, all that kind of stuff.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So talk to me, how do people get this book?
So the best way to get the book, it is on Amazon, but don't go to Amazon, because what I want you to do is I want you to get all the bonuses I'm going to give you on the book, and it's no different price than what you would spend on Amazon. So go to brian.page/book, brian.page/book.
I'll put the link in the description below as well.
Link below. And you're going to go there, and when you order the book on Amazon, it doesn't come out till November 8th, but when you order the book and you give me your receipt number proving that you bought the book, I'm immediately going to send you the first 3 chapters of the book and the introduction in an audio book, so you can listen to it before anybody even sees this book in November. I'll give you a PDF download. I'll give you a free Passivepreneur workshop that I did, where I talk to a Passivepreneur and we talk about all the different ways to do this. And you get access to all the resources that we do, and it's just the cost of one book on Amazon. So go to brian.page/book, get the book.
Amazing.
November 8th it comes out, and hopefully you too can become a Passivepreneur.
And I'm taking one of these, so I get to read it.
I'm
excited.
This is a press copy, so nobody even has this except for the few people that are here.
That's amazing. I'm excited about it. Well, man, I'm excited just to meet you. I'm excited about this project. It's so in alignment with everything I teach.
It is.
I'd love to have you on again once it comes out.
Okay, great.
Push and keep talking about it. Yeah. Because after I read it, once I read it, I'll have you back.
Well, you didn't know you were, but you are a Passivepreneur,
yeah,
and
totally.
you're the kind of person that I'm always looking for, and
amazing.
And you're directing people to do the exact same thing. So it's
I
great.
love it. Well, hey man, thanks
Thank
for being
you.
here. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So guys, if you have any questions about anything, comment in the comment section below. I'll do my best to engage with every single one of you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell that you're notified every time I launch a new video. And also, I'm gonna put links to his social channels as well on top of everything else. So all the places he is, it will be down below. If you wanna follow Brian, I totally encourage you to do it. Go learn, keep the journey going. If you follow this channel, you know I'm all about just enriching your life with as much information on how to create passive income and cash flow as possible. And I hit the home run running into this guy in the hallway last night. So
Well, thank you.
that's
Appreciate it.
awesome, guys. So have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.